There comes a moment in every soul's journey where the world stops making sense, where the things you once touched no longer feel solid, where the voice you used to trust, the one in your head that told you who you were and what was real, begins to dissolve into silence. This is not the end of the world. This is the beginning of energy. It starts with heartbreak, not just the loss of love, but the collapse of the identity you built around it. The plans, the dreams, the validation, all of it, gone in a breath. And in the silence that follows, something deeper begins to stir. An awareness, a question, a quiet knowing that maybe, just maybe, reality was never what you thought it was. That the world outside was a reflection of a vibration within. That the pain, as unbearable as it feels, is not the enemy. It is the revealer, the liberator, the sacred demolisher. Because what if your heartbreak didn't happen to you, but for you? What if the collapse was necessary, so that you'd finally stop pretending you were solid, when you are, in truth, energy in motion? What if the version of you that was built on fear, performance, expectation, and survival had to fall, so the real you could emerge? Then comes the void, the in-between, where you're no longer who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. Here, confusion reigns. You try to rebuild your old self, but the pieces don't fit anymore. You chase old desires, but they taste like dust. Your goals feel hollow, your affirmations don't land, and silence, it starts to feel loud. But if you stay here long enough, something subtle begins to happen. A frequency arises, not from the mind, but from the marrow. A feeling, not emotional, but energetic. A humming beneath the skin, a presence, a whisper that doesn't come in words, but through breath and stillness and vibration. And you begin to sense that maybe clarity is not a thought, it's a feeling. Maybe reality isn't something to solve, it's something to attune to. Because this universe doesn't speak English, it speaks energy. It doesn't respond to logic, it responds to frequency. Then, the ego begins to panic. It doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to let go of control. It wants formulas, not frequency. It wants certainty, not surrender. It wants to stay the author of your story, even when the ink has run dry. But life is not asking you to control it. It's asking you to align with it. And so begins the death, not of your body, but of your form. The illusion of separateness begins to dissolve. You start to see yourself in everything. The anger you held for someone else, you realize it was you. The longing you projected onto a lover, it was your own forgotten essence calling back home. Reality becomes a mirror, and every person, every moment, every trigger, every joy reflects what you carry. Not just emotionally, but vibrationally. You see now that the external world is a screen, and your frequency is the projector. If you change the real inside you, the movie out there begins to shift. And suddenly, ego death is not terrifying, it's sacred. It's the moment the wave remembers it is the ocean. You wake up, not with your mind, but with your cells. You begin to feel the spaces between things. You notice how a single thought changes your breath, how breath changes your posture, how posture changes your chemistry, and how that chemistry changes the world you magnetize. You are no longer chasing transformation. You are transformation. You are not matter seeking to become energy. You are energy pretending to be matter. And so, you start to move differently, speak differently, think in tones, walk in resonance, feel in frequencies. Your life becomes a sacred tuning process. Each thought, a vibration. Each intention, a calibration. Each emotion, a conductor. You begin to understand something most never will. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are, and what you are is vibration. Now the recalibration begins. This is not about becoming a higher version of yourself. It's about returning to your truest frequency. You rest when your body asks. You cry when the soul breaks open. You dance when your heart moves. You meditate not to escape, but to harmonize. You eat foods that nourish your light, not your numbness. You speak words that lift, not shrink. You begin to honor yourself not as a problem to fix, but as an instrument to fine-tune. You begin to live like a vibration. You understand now that even sleep is not escape. It is recalibration. It is your nightly meeting with the quantum field, the place where thought becomes waveform, where emotion becomes geometry, where your future is sculpted in silence. So, before sleep, you stop, you feel, you set no desperate intentions. You simply become the frequency of what you seek, not tomorrow, not next year, but now. Because the quantum doesn't respond to time. It responds to now, to being, to frequency. And so, you no longer pray for outcomes. You become the vibration of your answered prayer. You no longer chase healing. You embody wholeness. You no longer ask the universe to change. You become the change that shifts the universe. Everything is energy, and now, so are you. I am not chasing. I am not waiting. I am aligning. My reality is already vibrating within me.